your name called, Artifact?
My name is Sarah Fardy and I'm Fardyfax. If you are live and you are joining me, please say hello because I can see the comments. Oh, there's a cat. We're live. And tonight we are talking about COVIDIOTS. That's a name that I've made up in this household, even though my sister tells me it's not real, for COVID idiots. Probably lots of people have said it before, but today is one of those days where I pretty much had it up to here with those COVID idiots. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you a little rundown. There is a subgroup of our population that believe that coronavirus is not real, that coronavirus is not really a pandemic, and that state governments, federal governments, and different political leaders are making up this virus in order to control us. And there's many fallbacks in how, or many reasons why these people think that the government is controlling us. Our freedoms are being taken away from us. We're having to wear face masks. We're no longer allowed to travel. That 5G towers are being erected around the country to emit certain wavelengths to disrupt our homeostasis, that ultimately the government of the day wants more and more control. That's fine. That small subgroup of people are allowed to think that. And some of these people have quite a big influence around their particular communities, and we've all spoken our minds about Pete Evans, and we did a show on Pandemic Pete and his opinions and the messages that he's sending out, and went through all the reasons around why his points of view are not necessarily backed by science. And that's the point of view that I come from, is that all of my opinions and all of my facts are backed up by reputable sources and science. And we are fortunate to live in a country where our government of the day is actually responsive to science. If anything, they're a little bit cautious in the responses they take based on scientific evidence. So if the government of the day in each state of this country actually fully listened to the science and fully listened to the recommendations given by all the different science bodies, we would have a lot harder of a lockdown and a lot more restrictions from the very beginning than we do right now, and that we're sort of the lag it took for us to get to this point. So we're very lucky to live in a country where the government of the day follows science, and for that reason, although I don't agree with all of the different measures that have been followed by the Victorian government, the Queensland and New South Wales, and all the different governments that have put in different restrictions and policies, I'm not saying that all of them are right, because I myself and a lot of other scientists would like them to have pushed harder from the very beginning, knowing the impacts that a pandemic virus can have on society. But at the end of the day, they're doing better than a government who doesn't listen to science. So I'm going to talk about a COVID idiot that has recently used my platform to bolster their own positioning as a COVID idiot. And I would like to say a few things. First of all, that I am a very harsh person. I don't take shit from many people, and I shoot from my hip. So if I say something, I'm prepared to back it up all the way. And for someone to come to me and say that people on my platform are bullying, and that people on my platform are making them upset, I'm sorry for that, but you have a choice. You have a choice to listen to the truth and listen to the facts, or you have the choice to tune out. Don't follow my platform. Don't come anywhere near my pages if you don't want to know the truth. And if I sling the truth back in your face, you take it, you cop it, and then you tell me the reasons why you believe your truth is your truth. If you can't do that, I will continue to go at you if you go at my people. How cute is my dress? Thank you, Sophie. Good friend of the show. She made this dress. Sophie, this brand called Marshall & Wild. It's retired, so this is basically vintage now. Does that feel better, everybody? If you want to know the facts and the truth, you stay here with Farty Facts. If you want other people to know the facts and the truth and you tag me in something, or if you send me a screenshot of something and I follow that up with that person's going to not stop hearing from me until they block me, which is what happened today. So let's see if there's any comments. And then I'll have to go back in, pardon, Quinn? I'll look at your comments. Okay, cool. Okay, hope I'm well. I am. Hair looks lovely. Great short. Nice little mum bob here. Look like a Cruella de Vil streak in here, but we're good. Yep. Quinn, devil hand slapping piece. Taya is watching. Hello, Taya. Thank you for the love. Tessa Calder. Hello from Jan Jack. Tessa, I still have your creepy head here, which I need to get back to you. Cass Dixon, good evening, good evening. Hello, George. George, I got your present today. Thank you very much for the birthday gift. You and Penny, so lovely. Nice dress, yes. Emma is watching, hello. Amanda Snowy, I agree. Sarah Hare, look, okay, thanks, guys. One of the old favorites, vintage now, so can't get this anymore. I've got one more of this Marshall & Wild piece, which I might bring out. Is it Tiger Lily? No, it's not, Amanda. It's Marshall & Wild. Kaylee says, we hear you. It's so annoying spending 3 days in a COVID suspect ward with pneumonia. It's scary. Oh, God. Chris Fagan, conspiracy theory bollocks. And that's good. Everyone can have their theories. Great. But if you start to intrude on the communities that I care about, and yes, I care about communities. And if my COVID idiot is listening to me right now, I care about communities, and that's why I call you out on your bullshit. Continue to block everyone that has anything to do with this page, because we are going to continue to call you out for your damaging impacts on our community. Okay. Hey, WAP, Nicole Dean, go Sarah, yay, killing it, Cass, pregnant, Quinn, shut up. Okay. I thought this dress made me look a bit frumpy. Obviously, I'm not pregnant. Zen. Are you saying Zen to me, Adam? No. Okay, I'll talk to you about this later. There is no Zen moments today. I want that dress. You can't have it, Kareen, because it's vintage. You need a baton. Oh yeah, like a cop. Thank you. Do we have any questions here? Go girl, that's why I follow you. You have a great scientific source of truth. Sarah, I don't think I put enough lavender in your bath salts. You were meant to relax. Yeah. But then if people in my nest are being picked on by others, I really came out today. And I'm really disappointed because I got blocked by someone for not even responding. By giving no response to the particular person, I got blocked. That was hurtful. Why don't you invite her onto your show? That was thrown around today. I'll do that. I'm going to invite our COVID idiot onto the show.
No.
Don't call her that, or don't invite her on. No. Don't invite her on. I don't know how far we get in a conversation, to be honest, because it feels like every time this person identifies someone new to be her enemy, that she just runs away from them anyway. And I think that's because she's actually running away from her own truth. I'm not calling her an idiot. If you're watching, you're an idiot about coronavirus. Okay, some of the conspiracy theories are really out there. Whoa. Hi, I think my second time I've caught you live. Oh, Cindy, way to go. Hey, Stace. Hey, Stace. Billingham. Okay, if you leave the creepy head out the front and email me, I'll come and get it. Okay. Who is the COVIDiot? Okay, just look back onto the stories today, guys. I made a Facebook story and I made an Instagram story if you want to find out who the COVIDiot is. It's not hard to find. A vaccine is closer, tell us more. Okay, so I actually gave all of you guys the choice tonight about what you wanted to talk about. If you wanted to talk about COVIDiots, if you want to talk about the new vaccine, if you want to talk about my favourite books, or how many people I live with in this house. So we'll just quickly go through all of that. I live with 5 other people, so there's 6 people that live in this house. So you might think that like there's a lot going on here, and there always is. My favourite books, The Alchemist is one of my favourites. We can get to that another time. The Australian-sponsored vaccine and what that means. I'll tell you one thing. No one is forcing you to take the vaccine. No one is saying you can't have or you have to have the vaccine. That's the first thing that I want to say about the vaccine. But there is going to be caveats down the line. So no jab, no play, which means like in different childcare situations, if your child doesn't have the vaccine, then you won't be able to have the childcare options that might normally be available. But that's the same with most other vaccines. No jab, no pay. So there may be some welfare benefits that you may not receive if you don't get the vaccine. So in a way, they kind of are providing you with ultimatums in that sense. None of this is legislated. All this is discussion right now. The other big one will be that there likely will be a vaccine border. So if you haven't had the vaccine, you likely won't be able to travel into Australia. That means if any Australian who doesn't want to be vaccinated leaves the country, they won't be able to come back in unless they have the coronavirus vaccine. This is all hearsay right now. Australia has a country where we have choice, and there will always be options for choice. What they're scared of is outbreaks in this country where we have large portions of unvaccinated people. And we don't know whether we'll need to have 60, 80 or 90% of the population vaccinated for this to have coverage across the whole population. We also don't know if this is a safe vaccine. So everything that we have on the table right now is all hearsay until this vaccine has passed the stage 3 clinical trials, which are about to commence in Australia. If this vaccine doesn't pass the stage 3 clinical trials, it does not go to market. And yes, the Australian government has begun to put this vaccine down the production line, because just in case this vaccine passes the stage 3 clinical trials, we'll actually have the stockpile ready. If it doesn't, none of that vaccine gets used, and it all goes to waste. But that means that we're putting the funds into putting this vaccine into production now, just in case it works, so that we don't have that 6-month lag before the vaccine's ready. That's a very small price to pay for a potential vaccine that could save a lot of people. So there's lots of different options on the table, and this is only one vaccine out of hundreds across the world that's being manufactured. And we're lucky that the Australian government has been able to push through production of one of them. There's still 6 months away, 12 months away till a vaccine will even reach market, and nothing will be pushed through Australian standards unless it gets all of the ticks of approval that are outlined by the World Health Organization and the Therapeutics Goods of Australia. So we're not Russia. We're not going to be pushing a vaccine out before it's ready, and we'll need to pass a lot of checkpoints before it's ready for market. There's a lot of things to discuss, but really none of them really deserve any of our time until those vaccines have passed the stage 3 clinical trials. So hold your horses. I love being in the nest and having you look after me. You're welcome. Maybe just cry. That should help. I'm not much of a crier. In case you haven't noticed, I can't just turn on the waterworks like some people can. I mean, some people really cry over spilt milk and spilt oil. But I'm not one of those people. I'm resilient, and I've developed resilience over time because I'm very used to people slinging shit at me for the scientific proof that I provide people against their arguments. Also, if anyone's understood anything about my life and where I've come from and my story, go on to Horse's Mouth podcast and have a listen. Super resilient over here. Plus, I'm medicated. I know I'm crazy, okay? I have anxiety. I have issues with worrying about things. But guess what I did about it? I went and saw a mental health professional and I'm on Lovan. Raise your hand if you're medicated. Let's admit it, okay? We're crazy, but we know about it and we're dealing with it and we can get on with our lives and we don't have to cry about every single thing that happens to us. Okay? Might be off topic, but what's on your opinion on the Oxford vax that's in progress? I think we just talked about that. Love our nest. Yes, we do, Sharon. Didn't Scotty cut funding to the CSIRO, so the need to deal with the UK vax? Okay, so yes, Scotty and every other government before him has cut funding to CSIRO. That's not the issue here. CSIRO are working on plenty of different parts of the vaccine pipeline and looking at the different animal model studies, and they're definitely involved in a lot of this. Australian researchers are involved, so don't fret about that. And CSIRO manufacturing will likely be involved in some parts of this along with CSL. So we don't know the full story yet, so let's not kind of bash the vaccine strategy just yet. We still don't know much about it, basically. It's Oxford vax. Does CSL actually have the ability to make it? Yes, or is ScoMo full of shit? Okay, so CSL actually at Sequarius actually make the Southern Hemisphere's vaccines, and they also make vaccines for the Northern Hemisphere, so they have a huge production facility. What will be difficult is understanding how the coronavirus vaccine will fit into the pipeline alongside the influenza vaccine, which they make for Southern and Northern Hemispheres. So as long as they can have those two productions running side by side, there'll be no kind of caveat in one to take priority of the other. But in March, when all of the coronavirus pandemic was being announced across all the countries, CSL actually upgraded their facilities. So CSL upgraded their facilities 6 months ago. They're ready for this. They knew what was coming and they're ready. And that's why their bid to make these vaccines was so successful, because they have the capacity to do it. They are one of the world leaders in vaccine production, and we're very lucky to have them here in Melbourne and on Australian soil. Interesting theory I've heard about conspiracy theorists truly believe, yep, no jab, no travel would be good, Tessa says. No jab, no leave your house would be perfect, Amanda. Question. Okay, Janelle, I saw an article saying there's a new COVID strain in Malaysia 10 times more infectious. Is this the same one that we have? Yes, it is, Janelle. It's actually the D61G, I'm going to get the number wrong. It's the mutation that makes the virus stickier. So what we knew was that it was 5 times stickier on the outside. What we didn't know was how much more infectious it was. So if the Malaysian study is saying 10 times more infectious, that's the one that we have here. D614G, I think, is the mutation. And it basically makes the outside of the coronavirus way stickier than it used to be. But we didn't know about the infectivity, but we're hearing now that there's 10 times more infectious. Yep. Emma says, have we in Oz paid for doses of the vaccine or the ability to produce do we have paid for the doses of the what do you mean, Emma?
Have we paid for the ability to produce it ourselves, as many doses as we need? Or I know some countries have been paying for doses, like 1 billion doses for India.
Oh, so it'll be doses for all of the population. Be similar to how we produce the influenza vaccine here in Australia. Like 80%, they predict 80% of people will take it, and maybe they'll push it out to a little bit higher when coronavirus comes out. But none of that can happen until it passes stage 3. So hold your horses, people. We don't have a vaccine yet. Okay. Can you please, Angelique, tell me what kind of doctors are writing mask exemptions for all those people walking around with medical certificates? How can we define these people? How can we understand as a normal person walking by someone else, do you have a medical certificate? You should have like some sort of, tattoo on your arm, or you should have a sticker, just like they have on the New South Wales Premier, once they've been heat seek tested, you should have to wear your exemption somehow, because people are becoming very upset with each other and it's creating social disharmony. Thank you, Dad. I don't know who these doctors are, but there should be some symbol, some code that we can identify people who have medical exemptions. And I don't really think that there's an argument at this time for people to say, oh, well, those people should just have their privacy. No one should have privacy right now, because, they could basically be jeopardizing our own health. So
Maybe you just have to drink coffee.
yeah, I think it's a fearful stop. Have we controlled the bus? Okay, thank you. I was so tired of the conspiracy theorists and their exhausting rhetoric. I'm glad to hear about stage 3 and the ticks you talk about. Yep, awesome. Okay, Madeline says, do you know if there's any way, aside from giving blood, to know if you've had COVID or if you have the antibodies? Yes, you can actually go to the GP and ask for an antibody test for coronavirus. Did you know that? You can, because I downloaded the testing procedure from the Victorian government the other day, and one of the line items there is about going to the GP for the blood test. And you can go and you can do that. If your GP pushes back on it, show them this document, and I'll print out I'll put the link to the document on here. But there are blood tests to tell you whether you have had the antibodies or not. Now, that a while ago, they talked about the point of care testing, so the one that's kind of like a pregnancy test, and none of them have passed the quality control measures. So that's why we don't have them at kind of those testing sites. But you can go to the GP and have a blood test. Janelle says, do people recovered from COVID have to wear a mask? I think it's public politeness to wear a mask at the moment. It's less pardon?
It's the law.
It's the law. So I believe even if you've recovered from COVID, you still have to wear a face mask. Also, we do not know if you can be reinfected. So we know that people can be infected and recover. Then guess what? We know that they can show signs of the virus and infections again. So we don't know whether it's the initial infection coming out again or whether they've been reinfected. So if you have recovered from coronavirus, please continue to wear a mask. And I know there is a fair few people out there who have recovered, because you've all reached out, and I love hearing your stories. What's the podcast? Oh, Amanda. On farty-facts.com.au, on the homepage, there is a link to the podcast that I did last week called Horse's Mouth. Pretty interesting, but then again, it's all about me and my sister and how I grew up, okay? And my sister, my twin, not you, twin. COVID idiots are driving me batty. There seems to be popping up everywhere. Liz Menteed is watching. Hi, Liz. Okay, you're all replying to each other. This is amazing. Hi, Cherie. Hi, Kirsten. How are you? Lauren Crane says, I would like to thank Mama Magpie swooping in with fact and truth. Yeah, girl. Cindy Skian says, so what will the vaccine kill? Will the vaccine kill all the versions of the virus? Okay, so this has been a question that's popped up a few times with the mutating virus. Will we still have protection from the vaccine? And I'm going to just draw this little schematic of the coronavirus, and pretty soon I hope to have a 3D model of the coronavirus in my hand, because a loyal Farty Fact person has a 3D printer and he's printing me one for my birthday, which is fun. Okay, coronavirus with the crowns on the outside. These are the crowns. Now, the vaccine is being produced over these crowns, okay? So this is the target. This whole section here where it's the crowny bit, that's the target. So if we have more of those targets on the surface, it doesn't impact the current strategy for the vaccine. So it's being directed against these little spikes on the outside. So just because there's been mutations that make the virus have lots more of these on the outside. That doesn't impact the effectiveness of the potential vaccines. Other changes that occur in the virus often change the inside or the rate of replication, or maybe the way that it interacts with cells inside our body, but that has nothing to do with the outside and the way the conformational shape and how it looks. That's what the coronavirus vaccines are directed against. So we've known the way, and we can predict the ways that the virus changes, and that's why that little crown on the outside has been targeted, because it's very, very stable as a shape. Just because we have more of it on the outside, that won't impact our ability to have a vaccine that's protective, okay, against these types of changes. I read the article about the trial using the inhaled heparin binding to the COVID, make it less infectious. Don't know about that one. Christy, please send it to me. Thank you for speaking up about the conspiracy theories. It's getting out of hand. Okay, will the antibodies test work on an immune deficient child? Yes, because you're looking for antibodies specifically against the coronavirus. So your immune compromised child, if your immune compromised child has developed an immune response that has gone on to develop a vaccine, antibodies, and if your child has problems making antibodies, you may not see the response, but it's likely that they can still make an antibody response. Okay, Kylie says, looks like everyone in Torquay already knows about the blood test because of the lineup at the pathology this week. Oh, 20 deep at 8:25 a.m. Interesting. Yep, you're welcome about the GP advice. What are your predictions for the numbers in Victoria in the coming weeks? I think lots of people have been having secret parties. I don't think that we will see a huge increase, mostly because the numbers of people being tested is decreasing. If they created more easier access for people to go and get tested, if they were like providing at-home testing for everyone, not just certain cohorts, you might see numbers still stabilizing, but I don't think we'll see any increase. I think just decreasing. Decreasing will tell us that stage 4 restrictions in Melbourne worked, and that the introduction of face masks has worked as well. Okay, Amanda Snowy says, I would love to see a live debate, you versus Polio Pete. You don't want to see that. I have done a special show on Pete Evans though, if you want to go back and have a look at that. Okay guys, well we've got to the end of the questions, and I will see you next, lots of questions here, but I can't get to them right now. I will see you next Tuesday. In the meantime, visit fardy-facts.com.au, have a listen to the podcast, cruise around the website, there's lots of resources there. We've made lots of videos over the time, addressing lots of different issues, including how to improve your immune system, to improve your innate immune responses. I know that was a question that came up today. So I encourage everyone to pop onto the Fardy Facts Facebook, and there's a little tab that says live. All the videos that we've done are there, and they all have pretty accurate titles about what you might find in them, including COVIDIOTS. So please troll back through those if you need to kind of have a refresher on any of the things that we've spoken about, or if you want to pass those resources on. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.